Men in sport, a timeless means of entertainment. Some men hit home runs, others are curb stomped. Some win Cy Youngs, others get dunked on. Some men become MVPs, others have 70 saves in a game. But your stats won't matter here. Here we discuss the issues, search the hearts of men, and judge in vivid detail. Only raw takes will do. This is Sports Analysis. This is Sports Unchained. This is Sporticus! Sporticus is now on Patreon. We have 3 tiers, $1, $2, and $5. You can get things like bonus episodes, chat forums, polls and voting, live stream Q&As, monthly giveaways, and fan recognition. Become a patron today.
Your hair looks like ice cream, or
No. It's starting.
Yeah, we got to lead in nice and easy. You can't just shove it in. You know what I mean? You got to glide in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like a spoon into ice cream, as you so famously like to talk about ice cream.
I would love to take specific people on ice cream dates. Is that a problem?
Is Megan Anderson one of those people?
Not anymore. She was, but not anymore. I mean, I would. Literally speaking, I still would. I'm not gonna say no to that. I'm just saying in terms of the UFC rankings and who my new favorite love of my lives are. She's just. I'm sorry, man. I'm gonna have to settle for Applebee's with her.
Oh, I'm okay with that. I mean, now I know what we were talking about right before we started, but since I mentioned Megan Anderson, now we both agree that if somebody was going to get a lucky shot off, it was going to be Megan Anderson. But what we didn't know is that she was going to be scared out of her fucking mind. But that's not something you could call, though. So I'm not mad.
Nah, well,
I'm mad.
The thing is anyone who's going to step in there short of being Valentina Shevchenko is going to have a little bit of fear when it comes to facing Amanda Nunes. Now, the only reason I say Shevchenko, even though she's lost to her twice, she's the only person to actually push her. I mean, I think she was. Yeah. I think both of those were decisions. You know what I mean? So it's and decisions, in my opinion, are debatable, and I think at least one of those fights was pretty debatable. So anything else, from what I've seen from Shevchenko lately, and from what I've seen from Nunes lately, I've seen Nunes stay where she's always been once she got there, and I've seen Shevchenko evolve. I've seen her make the adjustments. I've seen a different version of her every single fight, and I think that's one 0-2 trilogy that I would love to see. You know what I mean? I don't really care about Diaz McGregor, but I would watch Shevchenko versus Nunes, even though they're Shevchenko's 0-2 against Nunes, and McGregor Diaz is 1-1. I would rather see the trilogy
be 2-0.
Yeah, because
without a doubt.
That trilogy, bro, that trilogy right there could lead to whatever fiveology or whatever, a five-a-G. Because God forbid, Shevchenko beats Nunes, then she beats her again, on the 4th fight, and then you got that 5th fight, man. I would not mind that, because what the women's division has right now are 2 alpha females with Nunes and Shevchenko since Cyborg was erased. You know what I mean? Like, not only literally by Nunes, but like, she's not in the UFC anymore. She's not relevant in my opinion. But Shevchenko and Nunes are the only thing that
I have
like
issue with that. I know she's in Bellator, but I would say Cyborg's still relevant. Like, she's still a name. She's still a
relevant
something.
for what she does.
And she took a belt. She went over there and took a belt from Julia Budd. That makes everything interesting because Cyborg, another name, top names over there. But I get what you're saying, though. I know.
I'll give you this, too. I'll give you this. Cyborg is the first non-UFC roster person on the, top rankings, the pound-for-pound top rankings for women fighters. Yeah. She's the first non-UFC fighter on that list, for sure. But everyone in front of her has either beaten her or is in the UFC.
Sure. And I mean, you know what, though? That's fine. That's fine. I mean, that's because when you get down to it, it's just not the women's MMA isn't deep. And
I disagree. I disagree with that.
It's just not. I mean, that's fine. I get it. Now, it's not like it's not like super shallow, but it's not deep.
Women's MMA has never been more exciting, in my opinion.
Sure, but it's still not deep to me. My point is,
how is it not deep? Which division is not deep enough for you?
Name off the 5. Well, could you? And I know you got to go. I don't know these people like offhand either. But think about the top 5s in any weight class. Like, it's not. And the champion kind of ruins this. I'm not gonna lie. Like, Shevchenko and Nunes ruined this. The problem is because they're so far ahead of everyone else that I don't see, like, it's just not deep. If it were competitive at the championship level, it's not, though. Look at what happened to Megan Anderson. You can't
she's
tell
not
me
a top level fighter.
Women's MMA is deep when Megan Anderson.
She's the best the featherweight has to offer right now, and that's not deep. But look,
that's why they're not deep.
If you remove Amanda Nunes, that Megan Anderson automatically becomes a contender.
Now, competitiveness doesn't mean that it's deep, though. Like, here's the thing. If you got a bunch of people around the same level, that's going to be competition for each other. Like, if you got a bunch of average people being average, they're all going to be very competitive. And they look average in comparison. I'm just saying. Let's be real about the hierarchy here. It is such a fucking vast drop-off in just straight up skill and talent between Nunes and Shevchenko in their divisions that it just makes everybody look a little bit worse. But it's not, I don't see, there's no person coming up where I'm like, yeah, if these 2 or 3 people, like, okay, for instance, there's no Charles Oliveira there. There's no Charles Oliveira. I mean, I guess you could say Amanda and Valentina are both Conor McGregor's, or John Jones's. John Jones' as being top and dominant and draws and stuff like that. But, like, you just don't have that depth across the board. And I'm not saying that they suck at all. I'm just saying it's not as deep as you would think.
I disagree, man.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I mean,
I can give you names, but that just depends. That's all that's going to come down to is, what you think of these women fighters. What's crazy is I thought the website wasn't on my phone, the UFC rankings website. I thought it wasn't loading things, but it's kind of funny because it loaded the women's bantamweight, it loaded the strawweight and the flyweight, but it won't load the rest of the women's featherweight. And I think that's kind of funny because it's probably just a glitch. But at the same time, it illustrates there's nobody in featherweight for Amanda Nunes. Nobody wants to let her come in that heavy and that comfortable when they can make her cut, so she's already the bantamweight champion too. So then you got Jermaine Durandamy, Holly Holm. She's beaten them. Aspen Ladd. She might be her next bantamweight fight, but she's still not that good looking. Yana Kanutsakaya, Irene Aldana, Ketlin Vieira, like there's some contenders there for sure at 135. But the exciting thing for women's fighters is 125 and below. Like Macy Barber is number 15 in the women's flyweight. Now we've gone rounds with Macy Barber not living up to.
Right. She's not. I don't know why you brought her name up.
No, and I don't mean to use her as like a good. Like I said, we've gone rounds on how bad she is, but she's at least a competitive fighter. So we're looking at her at number 15, and then you look at Alexa Grasso, Roxanne Modafferi in front of her, and then you got your Cavillos, your Mayas, your Shakugans, your Andrade. Like
Paige Van Zant's a competitive fighter. Michelle Waterson's a competitive fighter.
Well, yeah, but
Angela Hill's a competitive fider. Like, I mean, they could.
I know.
You can't say that about everybody. I get what you're saying. I got you. I know. But
I know a couple fights that you would watch, bro, and it would only require strawweights going up to flyweight, which isn't a big jump. So Zhang Weili versus Shevchenko, Namajunas versus Zhang Weili, which actually could stay in the strawweight division. You would want to see Namajunas versus Jędrzejczyk. You'd want to see Namajunas versus, Shevchenko. You would want to see Mackenzie Dern versus Amanda Ribas, which is in the same division. You'd want to see Shakugan versus Amanda Ribas or Mackenzie Dern. Watterson could fit in there too. Tisha Torres. Like, there's fights right there that you could definitely put like on a main card on like a UFC event where there's going to be a title fight or two. Like, there's some exciting.
Yeah, but sure, and that's what I mean. They're competitive. All those fighters you name are great, right? And I would watch those fights. Here's the thing: at the end of the day, at the end of that road they're on, they're gonna want to compete for a title. And because you have two champions that are so dominant, that's gonna make everything. That's gonna water down things considerably. Like, sure, they're great. Those are all good fights, but who gets a title shot out of there?
It doesn't matter.
Name somebody who didn't get eaten up by something, like eaten alive. Eaten alive. Like, I mean, and that makes it.
Number one, the rational fight to make in a literal sense, in a reality sense, is Zhang Weili versus Shevchenko. If we want to keep seeing, Shevchenko fight somebody relevant, because that might be a good fight. I don't know if Zhang Weili would get as punked on the feet as a lot of these other ladies are. So
she definitely wouldn't. But I don't know. I mean, I think she gets beat up.
I mean, Shevchenko.
Yeah, I think she gets beat up.
You put in front of her, except for Amanda Nunes, apparently. But like,
right.
At this time, Shevchenko's going to want to keep fighting Amanda Nunes to, fight her again. But I don't know if she wants to do that because she's already done it twice. She's lost twice. Like, I mean, honestly, realistically, what do? You just keep doing your thing, man. You're never going to be the GOAT in the women's division as long as the GOAT is somebody who's beaten you twice already,
Right. No, and that's fine because, I mean, it's just, it is what it is. I mean, like, Daniel Cormier could have whatever status he wants, but, like, even if I put him at number 2, he just can't be number 1. He can't be.
No, for sure. I've said that.
Because a man that's considered the GOAT.
Still not the GOAT.
Sure. Like, I mean, right. It just is what it is. He shouldn't have lost to John Jones twice like that. Shouldn't have. Exactly. I mean, that's his fault. And I think, see, here's the thing. I make that statement because I said it is not a lot of depth in women's MMA because I don't want to not be on one side. I wanted to take a stance. And I think it's a brave stance because it's not like you're lying about any of this stuff. You're right. It is as competitive and as deep as it has been, but is it deep enough? I don't think it is. And the problem is when you just said Cyborg wasn't relevant.
She's not UFC. If you're not
she's irrelevant. Irrelevant. Damn, you know what I'm saying? Why can't I say that word right now? What's going on? Barely. She's not relevant. There you go.
Barely.
I said it. I got it out that time. Anyway, she doesn't matter as what you said. She doesn't matter as what you said.
Yeah.
But I think she does. And then I named Julia Budd. And then you got I didn't want to throw this name out there, but you got, if you want to talk about like a Macy Barber type, Valerie Laredo, or maybe she's like Macy Barber and like Paige Van Zandt. Although she's highly skilled. Don't get me wrong, but like, man, she talks and she thinks people's like, oh, I'm not just a crazy face and stuff like that. So there's depth there because she's kind of a newcomer, kind of, and eventually she'll work herself up to a shot. I think Julia Budd would probably beat the shit out of her, like beat her to death. We'd probably see her die in there. if she ever faced Julia Budd in whatever weight class. My point being is like, I think it's as deep as I agree with your statement. I just don't think that that's deep enough. And here's the thing though. To put it in perspective, and then we'll move on to UFC 259. To put it in perspective, there weren't there weren't a lot of candidates. There are not a lot of black WWE champions, right? It's just not. We just got our third one. Arguably our second, if you really want to talk to in certain circles. Some people don't count The Rock. I'm one of them. Sometimes it depends on where he stands, but I don't want to get into all of that.
His dad was black.
Sure. But to go into that is bringing up a lot of stuff. So I don't want to go into all of that. Okay. Yeah, I know he's a black guy. He portrayed himself as a Samoan guy overall. Okay. Did he not?
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like,
but why the fuck is there a but? Kofi Kingston's definitely back. I don't have the same problem with Kofi Kingston and Bobby Lashley. Why do I have a problem with The Rock? It's like, oh, well, because, he was all about that Samoan stuff. Yes, he was in the Nation of Domination. As soon as he got out, it was back to Samoan Rock. And it was like, damn, man, you let them put you in a box. Maybe it wasn't his decision entirely, but he still went with it. I'm not a fan of that. But I don't want to take anything away from him, though. But my point is, like, there weren't a lot. Who was you going to get a belt to, Like, was there any other top guys? The depth, there was no depth of black wrestlers at anywhere before The Rock. And in between The Rock that you could have really given it to. Now you got a bunch of people. You could put a title on Keith Lee. I know you don't know these people. You can put the title on Keith Lee. You can put it on Big E, anybody in New Day. I'm just saying, like, you got depth now when it comes to people of color. And with women's professional wrestling, you got depth overall. You got some depth, but it ain't where it needs to be. A lot of people saying we need this to main event. We need women to do this and that. It's like you don't have enough. Just wait until it's deep enough to where there's no choice. Right now, there's a choice. And like, if you go and you just look at women's wrestling overall, it is great, but it ain't great enough. It ain't where people think it is. It's just not. And I know that women's MMA is really deep right now. And man, I'm telling you, in the next 5 to 10 years, we ain't, it won't be a question. This won't be a question. We'll just have main events where we need them. We'll have females we didn't even know we're going to come out of the woodwork, main event and shows and stuff like big shows, top shows where John Jones or Conor McGregor would have been on top. We're going to see women. I know that. But right now, it's just not as deep as I believe it needs to be. But that's in my opinion. That's just what I'm analyzing. But I digress. You lead us into 259, man. Let's try to work our way to where we're going.
Yeah, 259 honestly didn't disappoint in my opinion. So
it disappointed me.
I mean, it did, but not like in the sense of like it was a good card. I watched the card from start to the finish. I saw every single fucking fight, and honestly, I really enjoyed it. It took like 5 or 6 fights to get to the first decision, and the first decision came on Tim Elliott beating the shit out of Jordan Espinoza and calling him a woman beater. Like I couldn't have enjoyed that more. So yeah, and then you got there was a couple more decisions, but at the same time they were all good fights. The Askarov fight, the Cruz fight, the Sonya Don Kyler Phillips fight, those were all good ones. And then the Rakic Santos fight was a decision too. And then you have the main event being a decision too. Like I
didn't like that Santos fight. I think he's a fucking bum now.
Yeah,
Santos is a fucking bum now. And it happens. Sometimes people burn out. Like Reyes is probably going to be a bum too, to be honest with you. Like you get to that top, and then if you don't get over it, like if you don't, climb that mountain while you're there, then you won't have enough to go back up the mountain and climb it again. So yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, he's a bum.
I just want to acknowledge that the the early prelims, up to the Tim Elliott fight, those were all really, really good fights. And those guys are, hopefully going to make the jump to the late prelims. But the thing I want to acknowledge is the Tim Elliott Jordan Espinoza thing, because like I said, I was watching every single fight. I was sound up, everything, and I don't know the situation. I'm not going to call Espinoza out for any reason, but what I heard when Tim Elliott had him against the fence on the ground as he was pummeling him, he was saying something to the effect of like, "So I heard you like to hit women," and then he hit him a couple of times. And then he said, a girl or girls or, a couple of girls have private messaged me about it. And then he smacked him again. Espinoza said something back, but like Rogan and Cormier were like, dude, like true or not.
They bleeped all of it out.
Yeah. And then they cut the volume on the particular thing, which, I mean, good on them for being so fast about it. But at the same time, man, like, dude, I would have really liked to have heard what was being said otherwise, besides the stuff I did hear. Because, like, if that's true, man, like, good on Tim Elliott for fucking putting a country beat down on somebody like that. You know what I mean? It's something that we've all kind of wanted
always,
to Greg Hardy.
True. I mean, that's always, and we thought we were going to get that too, but Greg Hardy's just way too strong, man. Like,
I mean, he got beat last fight, didn't he?
It
wasn't like
he's not undefeated. He's not undefeated,
Yeah. And then like he had a loss where he broke the rules and like.
Yeah, he's definitely no pushover though. He's not a pushover.
No, he that's a big motherfucker. But at the same time, we all kind of want to see him get his ass beat. You know what I mean?
Sure, but I really don't. I try not to get into those because those situations just get a little.
We just don't know the story, and I'm sorry for on it. I just, no,
that's fine. You get that's fine to take a stance.
Like, I'll say something that we kind of all agree with. If you hit women as a man, then you're a fucking bitch. So like,
sure.
I can't help but think that if that is all true, I can't help but like Tim Elliott that much more. So.
No, I think he's a hero in a lot of circles if that's true. And the problem is if and corroborating stories and stuff like that. It's like I don't know. I just have no idea. Usually I would speak on it, but this is the first I'm hearing of it. You saying it. I didn't know that was what he was saying in there. I just know that because they bleeped all of it out. I was also like in the middle of stuff, so they bleeped all of that out, and I was like half paying attention. So.
You could tell it was live because they could bleep it all out. So whenever the camera was right up on them after that, it was always silent, no matter if they were talking or not. Like you could even see their mouths not moving, and it was still like you could hear the volume was cut out as it was still live, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, they just don't want him to say anything, but they clearly knew that there was clearly somebody doing their job and watching and listening.
Yeah, they was like, cut that. Cut like, oh yeah. I mean, no, that was see, overall, I did like the fights. I liked all of them, Yes. It's just that I just liked them. I didn't find anything particularly great, and nothing particularly stood out to me as really great.
There's nothing groundbreaking in terms of rankings that happened. I mean, other than the main event fight, which,
three title matches, though. 3 title matches. So this was the most hyped card in a very long time. They've had a 3 title match card before, and I think all 3 changed hands, maybe even 4 title fights. And that was the one ESP was on, and he beat Bisping for his title.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just saying the hype was all there, and then that Izzy fight, like that really, that wasn't competitive, so that really dropped a lot of the hype too. So come on,
but what I'll say,
it wasn't competitive. It wasn't.
That early prelim card and that late prelim card, for anyone who just has general cable and who could have watched it, like those were what you want to put on, because all of those were good fights going into that Dominic Cruz versus Casey Kenny fight. I mean, all of those were good fights leading up to that. The Song Yadon Kyler Phillips, Benavidez Askarov, Kai Kara France versus Bontorin, sorry. That was actually one of the fucking, I think that might even get fight of the night. Even though it was the one with the one round, but it went the whole round, and Kai Kara France was not about that life, going into the next round, getting smashed on the ground like he was. So
it really wasn't. I didn't have a fight of the night. Usually I know which one it is, but they were all just,
I would give it to? truly give it to, if I could, is that Kennedy in how do you say, Nick Chekwu or something versus Carlos Olberg. Like, dude, that was actually a pretty fun fight to watch, and Olberg was undefeated before it. So like, I thought that was kind of a cool one. It went like most of the second. I thought that was a pretty cool fight.
It's just hard for me to pick like one that was really like stood out to me. Like nothing stood out. Like the last three, I'm gonna forget, the fights. I'm gonna forget them because like they just didn't stand out. Like Cruz, he looked like he lost a half step, but he just looked rusty, But at the same time, like we saw him lose like before this, so he might have lost a half step. And I know like people going, oh man, he looks good and dominant. And nah, he looked slower than what he has been before to me.
Well, here's the thing.
That could be cage wrestling.
He looked as good as he could.
Sure. Yes. But I noticed that he had half a step gone. So if that's as good as he can look, I don't know about his chances of doing anything important in MMA anymore.
The thing is he's only fought like 3 times in the last like 7 years or something like that, man. So the thing that I'll say is, for as high a level as I thought he looked, for that being a fact, I thought he looked pretty good. So I think he could get better. I don't like they were talking about, he looks like on the better side of 35, to where he hasn't been beaten, beaten up a lot because of, the injuries and stuff that have kept him out of competition and training. So I think as long as those injuries have been taken care of to the fullest, I think Dominic Cruz has another 2 or 3 good years left in him. So I'm excited to see what he does next. But Casey Kenny's no slouch, so I wouldn't mind seeing that fight in the future somewhere.
I think we will. I think that we will actually. Now let's go to the main card.
Such a good. It was such a good card, man. But that main card honestly wasn't as good as it could have been, even if it still was a good one in my opinion, just with everything that had happened.
That's all I'm saying. You said it for me. That's exactly what I'm saying. It ain't as good. Like I don't want to shit on it because it wasn't like it was bad. It's just it wasn't as good as it could have been. It left a lot to be desired for me. I was like, well, it's good, but I was expecting greatness, and not just good. So, I was expecting Megan Anderson and actually give Amanda Nunes some sort of problems. You know what I mean? Like, think about this.
No.
You know why? Because they show these packages. They show the video packages. They show highlights and clips of what these people can do. Yeah, this is to get you hyped for the fight, right? And I could easily just take the stance that Nunes is going to knock her out. There's no fun in that at all. In fact, I'm not going to watch a card like that. I'm just not. There's no reason to. So, yeah, I absolutely bought into it. It was like, okay, let's hope she could do something. It's not like she is a slouch. We've seen Megan Anderson do some things out there before. And I thought, okay, man, maybe her length and size will be a problem for Amanda Nunes. And she gets there and she is terrified, and I'm like, damn, maybe she got a game plan and she's just calm. Nope. She wasn't calm at all. She was freaking out, dude. Like,
yeah, time she was not feeling that.
You know what? It's unfortunate. She's not Cody Garbrandt because she's actually a fighter, actually out there fighting. She wasn't on her couch eating marshmallows or whatever he's doing. I hope he's fat too. I hope he's fat and out of shape.
Now he's getting kicked off of Southwest Airlines, bro. That's what he's doing right now.
I imagine Cody Garbrandt just sitting in a lazy boy, Cheeto dust all over his fucking shirt and caramel corn. He's got a box of Cracker Jacks and shit on the side, and a couple Modelo's because he probably gets them for free. But just I just imagine in a big gut and everything. He looks like Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder.
Absolutely.
To me. Anyway, I don't know how we ended up back on him. Well, Megan Anderson better fighter than Cody Garbrandt. Yeah, you heard it here because he's a fighter. She's fighting, but she's supposed to get cut now. Like, right? I was reading something where if she lost this fight, she was on the fucking chopping block, and I was like, no way, really? And then I was like, well, let's look at who they've cut recently, man. Yoel Romero. Alistair, I almost said Alistair Black, Alistair Overeem. Like, who would have thought that they would ever cut Alistair Overeem?
I mean, it's time, man.
Dude, he's he's one of the guys that got from Strikeforce. Like, what you would? It's just that's not loyal to me at all.
No, but cool. It doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah, sure, I guess. I mean, like I just thought it was something there. That's a guy you give a desk job somewhere, or he's an ambassador. You know what I mean? I just, yeah, I don't know. That was really bullshit to me that he got cut. Because I think he's still pretty useful. But yeah, I was talking about it with my boy Ray last night actually on his show, and he was talking about the UFC model and how they're just cutting people. We said it's not sustainable because they run into a lot of fighters. And I'm like, man, we think about the people who are on the chopping block next, and Megan Anderson just having a title fight and being one of them. Like, what are they going to do? What do you think about that? Their business model and how they're putting on a lot of events, which is great, but they are cutting people at a higher rate than normal. And some of them are names, fine, but.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think it's just like any other sport to where like sometimes, somebody gets cut in the NFL or traded, or a free agent gets signed, like JJ Watt to the Cardinals, or like there's stuff in every sport that's kind of like what the hell, why did that happen, and I mean, some people saw the Watt thing coming. I personally didn't, but when it comes to MMA, when they make cuts like Dos Santos and Alistair Overeem and Yoel Romero, I mean, in my opinion, it's because, and like this is the same thing with John Fitch back in the day. He's gonna go. He's already gone as far as they're gonna go. They've already faced and lost to the top competition, not just one guy, but the other top competition to keep him from title shots or consistently in title shots. Like at a certain point, man, like that's why Donald Cerrone, even though he's my favorite fighter, it's partly surprised me that he's still in the UFC. Like, dude, the guy just doesn't win big fights.
Yeah, he should be gone. He should be gone.
In fairness, he's there because of his name. He's there because of the fan base, and that's why Dos Santos and Overeem were there. But they're just not viable anymore because there's other young and up and coming fighters that may not be able to overtake them in the rankings, but do deserve to have the next shot at the guys that they're in line to fight. You know what I mean? Like Dos Santos and Overeem are going to be fighting guys instead of these younger guys that should be fighting them, Like instead of a Dos Santos second fight against whoever the fuck, it should be the new guy coming up the ranks, Like I don't know. Like let me look at the heavyweight division. Like there's a bunch
of fall in UFC too. Like if you're a name and you lose, it holds a lot of weight. Like Donald Cerrone, losing, the reason his losses look so bad is because it's Donald Cerrone. But like, because it just takes away from you talking about his wins, and it's like, right. Oh, Donald Cerrone's so great. And it's like, yeah, but then you look at his loss. You look at his losses and they're all good losses, are they not? Like, but it's top competition. So it's like, as big of a name he is, it's like he's not really doing shit.
That's like, if you want to keep him on as a gatekeeper, that's fine. But you got to realize, realistically as a fan, he's not going to be a champion.
You can't be a gatekeeper in the UFC. You can't be that like a big name and a gatekeeper in UFC. I mean, you can, but like you can't if that makes sense. So let's move up the card a little bit. We did Megan Anderson. We're gonna skip to the last one and then do Jan versus Sterling because I think we're gonna spend the most time on that.
Okay.
I just think we are. But Blachowicz versus Adesanya. What was your take on that fight?
Man, I really wanted to laugh more at Izzy for the loss, but I think if he faces a lesser fighter, he wins that fight. But Blachowicz really hasn't since gotten the credit that I think he deserves. Because Israel Adesanya is a good fighter, and up until now, he's been able to neutralize everyone, no matter what their specialty was, wrestling, stand up, whatever. It doesn't matter. He's been able to neutralize everyone. But he couldn't do that with Blachowicz, and he landed his best shots on Blachowicz. Like, I think that it's time to start acknowledging how good that guy is, Blachowicz, rather than knocking on Izzy. Now that being said, I no longer am interested in the Izzy John Jones fight, but
Nor am I.
Yeah, but I am kind of intrigued about Blachowicz fighting other people now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's a pretty big dude. Maybe he goes up to heavyweight next. Like,
I
maybe
think
he,
Blachowicz would that Blachowicz would have fucked John Jones up.
maybe.
I
I mean,
think he would have fucked him up. And you know why? Because everything Izzy does is what John Jones would be able to do. And Izzy was getting touched. A lot of people, and this is the issue I had. People are like, oh, what happens when he gets touched by a 205 pounder? I'm like, come on. Like, we see, it's not like Izzy has never been touched before in his life. The guy can take a punch. Gastelum was definitely hitting him. I know he ain't a 205er, but Gastelum can knock you the fuck out. And if Gastelum was putting hands on him, you know, even Anderson Silva was putting hands on him.
yeah.
They didn't knock him out. My point is if someone who can knock you out is hitting you, then you can take punches. Like if you're not knocked out, Blachowicz hit him with a couple of shots that would have knocked somebody out. And
Yes.
I know you've seen them. Like some straight up jabs that would have fucked you up, would have changed the whole world. And Izzy took them. Like he was never visibly shaken to where he was going to go out and wobbly ever at any point in that fight. He was definitely getting touched. Now, was he beat up? No, he wasn't. And that's a testament to his skill, being defensive and knowing where not to keep his face, but Blachowicz was actually touching him. And you damn right he wasn't going to throw everything into every shot he had, because if he'd done that, he would have blown up and that would have been bad. He did really good to keep his stamina at a great level, but it's just crazy to me that people were like, oh, when he gets touched by someone at a certain weight, I'm like, nah, man, if you can take a punch, you can take a punch. I mean, you can't take a punch from an elephant, but we're not talking, we're talking about just a person. It's a person. So if they can throw a punch at you, you can take regular punches. You should be fine. Look, case in point, Stipe versus Ngannou. Like, can Stipe take punches? Absolutely. Daniel Cormier still knocked him out, though.
Yeah.
Ngannou hit him with shots that would have knocked down any other man. But Daniel Cormier he landed one and it was over. It happens. That's how punches work.
Right.
Not, wait till Izzy fights someone who's stronger. Like, shut up. But with that said, Blachowicz whooped his ass.
Yeah.
I don't know about 10-8 whooped his ass. I don't know about the 10-8 rounds. How you feel about the 10-8?
To be honest with you, I really think that your disagreement with it is in the right space. Seeing as, we were pretty high on Izzy going in, especially you, like, I had just come around to the Izzy hype, because of the last fight, so I was going into this one like, all right, if that's the same guy that's going into this fight, it doesn't matter. Like, Costa's a big guy. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah.
I mean, I was like, damn, man, he's gonna piece up these fucking other guys with his speed. And honestly, he did a lot of fucking good speed work on Blachowicz. He was faster, he was more in shape. Like, but at the same time, once Blachowicz started landing consistently and putting the pressure that he can put on him, that's when you saw Izzy be like, oh man, I didn't know this guy could pack a punch. And then he started, in the later rounds, Blachowicz started taking him down. And then, Izzy was already tired. He, like maybe in the first round he would have gotten out in that, but in the fourth round, when you've been tagged and you've been kicked and you've also thrown your amount of shots, like, you're gonna go down a lot easier and stay down a lot longer if you're not a pure wrestler or jiu-jitsu guy who knows how to compensate for that. And Izzy, I really think he should change his nickname out of this one, because he's obviously not a style bender. Like,
no, it's not. And you know what? I thought about you because I was like, man, that style bender thing, like, and I knew what you meant. And I was just more on the side of, all right, let's get a guy, let's buy into the hype a little bit, because we can always pull it back, because it's going to be way worse when we do. And it's time to pull back. Like, he can't fight John Jones because he'd get destroyed.
Yeah, he fucked up. And it wouldn't be a stand-up fight. It would just be John Jones holding him down and elbowing him.
It sure would. But and you know what? The crazy part is, though, we didn't know Blachowicz was this good of a fighter. Nobody did.
Yeah. No, I
knew, but none of us knew.
Nobody was talking about that going into it, and honestly, nobody's talked about it coming out. I think people would just assume that Adesanya had a bad night, and I just don't think that was the case, man. He honestly, he showed up like I thought he was gonna, and he tagged him like he can. But Blachowicz, his stand up was every bit as good as Adesanya's, plus his his takedown, his ground control, his power was a little bit better. And honestly, like, Blachowicz was the more huffy puffy one after the fight in terms of like his cardio. Like, he was breathing super heavy. But yeah, of course he is. He just went with a middleweight for 5 fucking rounds of
right.
You know what I
and
mean?
a guy could crack you too. A guy now they respected each other a lot,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, but they still fight. They still engage. You know, I mean, do I wish there was the engagement wasn't the problem. It's just that they really did kind of nullify each other standing up. You know, like there was never going to be that shot that knocked one of them out ever. Like I saw that the first round, you knew they weren't going to knock each other out. It just wasn't going to happen. They knew exactly where they were. They knew their range. They knew that this person couldn't do this or that. Like Izzy would throw something and he wasn't there when Blachowicz would throw that punch, you know? So Blachowicz just acted like a couple times, wouldn't even throw it because he knew Izzy wouldn't be there. But he did try the first couple times, and I like that. You know, they both adjusted. You know, it's just that Blachowicz had way more in his arsenal than Izzy did. Izzy couldn't adjust. Like he adjusted, but like for every adjustment he made, Blachowicz could make one more, and then he had more stuff to take him down with, like literally take him down with. But as far as being 10-8'd, we both been saying it needs to be more 10-8s and stuff. I'm not mad at it. I don't think there were 10-8 rounds. I really don't. But
I think
don't get your ass.
A round, it would be the last round when Blachowicz just, held him down.
Sure. I mean, sure. I don't think there were multiples. I don't.
No, it was like if there was, it would be one of the last two rounds. Like,
sure, 10-8 him for one. I don't know about two. That's kind of saying a little bit much. Now, because he don't have to look like he's destroyed, but at the same time, I just didn't think there was enough of damage. You know, it wasn't damage to say 10-8. You know, if you get your leg chopped off, 10-8. You know, but it was anyway though. I mean, he lost. If Izzy didn't want to get 10-8, he wouldn't have got his ass whooped, and he got his ass whooped. You know, right. In the fourth to fifth round, he got fucking destroyed. You know, he got destroyed. He got dominated, not destroyed. Sorry. So yeah, it is what it is. I mean, Blachowicz, I think John Jones would have been a little bit desperate. He would. Here's the thing. I think he's not. You saw how Jones fought Thiago Santos, and he wasn't used to anybody really being that close to him. Same thing with Reyes. Blachowicz has more in his arsenal than those two, and I think that Blachowicz would have been like, if we think about how Izzy was getting touched, John Jones gets touched by one of those. I don't think he's getting up. And I'm not saying John Jones can't take a punch. I'm saying he's not used to someone being that close with that sort of power to actually get him. Because Blachowicz, what I'm saying is he's a step above those guys. You know, the Santoses and the Reyeses and the Israel Adesanya.
Well, the thing is in terms of the light heavyweight picture, and I'm going to agree with what you're saying, because like Dominic Reyes, good boxing, no power. Thiago Santos, good power, bad boxing. But then you looked at Jan Blachowicz, who beat, I think, both of them, and he fucking good boxing, good power, good, stand-up kickboxing, Muay Thai, good clinch work, good takedowns. I think he would be like, I didn't realize this when he was making his way to the rankings. He might have been the best fucking person for John Jones all along.
And here's the thing. When did John Jones leave? As soon as that dude was right in his face.
Yeah,
that was going to be his next opponent. It literally was his next opponent.
It was
John
Jones.
Yeah. He's not a dummy. So I'll give John Jones that. He's no dumbass. That's when he started.
One thing I'll say is he may not have been afraid of Blachowicz because look where he went. He went to go jump in the waters of Ngannou and Stipe. You know what I mean?
Sure, but stylistically they're not Blachowicz. They're not.
Yeah, Blachowicz is more athletic for sure.
Right, and he's right there with John Jones. Like John Jones, when you look at him and Adesanya, they were. They look fine. Like there was no crazy height advantage, no shit like that. But Ngannou is a terrible fighter. He's just all power. He cannot fight. I believe he has went to the drawing board and done some stuff. I think we might be able to see something coming into this next fight with Stipe. Might. I don't know. But Stipe is also quote unquote undersized for John Jones. Like, I don't really believe in all that shit. But you see what I'm saying? Like, so there's an advantage over both of them for John Jones. There's no advantage over him with Blachowicz other than John's a veteran. at the same time, it's like, yeah, but this dude's he's got what Reyes had and what Santos had, and there's no way John Jones is going to beat both of those things. He beat one of those things, but he can't beat both of them, and that's fine. I get it, but he damn sure made sure he left, to where he had advantages. As soon as Blachowicz stepped up, he said, "Nope, I'm vacating that shit." That was super suspect to me too, because I was like, man, all you got to do is beat this one guy, because there's no other contender other than him, right?
His whole thing was like, oh man, cleaned out the light heavyweight division, and it was like, I was like, I don't think you have. And he's like, going to heavyweight, and I was like, all right, that's fair. At least you're not retiring.
Right. I was like, yeah, but there's like one more dude left. Like
there's a couple of them. Honestly, like Rakic isn't all that bad. He just honestly, like, that was a terrible fight for him with Santos. It didn't make either of those guys look good, but Rakic definitely, won that fucking fight.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of like, it was suspect, man. And, like boxers do that. Boxers will move conveniently when there's a guy that just don't match up with them, or matches up with them so well. It's like, nah, I don't want to fight him, but I'll make an excuse, like Floyd's done it a couple times. That's okay. I mean, sure, you protect yourself however you can, but like, I remember that shit. Like, I'm like, nah, you ducked people a couple times. John Jones has ducked people. I don't know if you can say the same with GSP. Has he ducked anybody?
There was a lot of talk of GSP ducking, like, the Johnny Hendricks rematch, and there's a lot of talk of GSP ducking
after that shit. I mean,
but at the same time, GSP is at least everyone that everyone said that he was ducking, aside from Anderson Silva, which you could debate either one of them was ducking each other. GSP beat everyone that they said that they were ducking, they said he was ducking. So like, I don't know what you want me to tell you.
I don't think Anderson Silva was really ducking anybody, because you think about it, he just on a moment's notice fought Cormier later in his career. Going up.
Yeah, but that was after Anderson Silva needed to, have a big money fight and still had a little bit of.
But my point is, like, he could just, why take the loss? Because I didn't think he was going to win that. Well, I think that was
because the loss doesn't affect him at that point. Like he wasn't.
I just think that
the win could have only helped him. He was only going to win in that fight. Because now we got to see the Cormier Silva fight. Even if Silva lost, a lot of people knew that Cormier was not going to stand and bang with him. So it's like, okay, like, I don't think Silva lost anything. I don't even think he got docked in the rankings for that fight.
No, I don't think so either. And I don't think he should have. My point was just, I don't think a guy just willing to do that is the type of guy that's ducking you. Because that's not the first time he's done something like that, going up and fighting. Who did he fight? Forrest Griffin, So it's not like he's no slouch. So, but yeah, we definitely seen John Jones duck. He ducked the shit out of Blachowicz. He ducked the shit out of him, and there's no way around it. None. Because it's like, well, if this guy's knocking people out and he's coming, you see him. You gotta beat him, and then you can go. Because it's like, well, he just emerged. He popped up, right? Beat him, and then say, well, I beat that guy too. And then we don't have any questions. But we have a question. We don't think you can beat him. We all saying, nah, that John Jones would have got his ass whooped against him. Because he going to catch one of them shots, and he going to end up on his ass too. Anyway.
John Jones is John Jones, and until they make any actual, fights for him, I'm not going to say, what I think about who he would do against what until I can actually have him on a fight card against anyone, because right now he's like TJ Dillashaw, man. Like, yeah, they're great to talk about their own fights because they're, fun and whatnot. But right now Dillashaw is eligible to come back, and I haven't heard about him being on a card at all. You know what I mean? So like, I just want to see these guys on fight cards before I want to keep talking about them, Not to say that we shouldn't,
you're absolutely right. And, I want to limit that as well. But, it goes without saying, Blachowicz really stepped it up, and, he should be part of a conversation, Yeah. But speaking of, you brought up a great name, TJ Dillashaw. When I say great name, for a transition, obviously, it's for a segue. But no, so TJ Dillashaw and Henry Cejudo are two of the guys that said Aljamain Sterling was acting. They say, and the Oscar goes to, and I was like, well, okay, I do believe he played it up, because it was a little odd how he was kind of continuing to go about. And I do think he played it up. I don't think he was faking, but I think he played it up. You know, he wanted to milk it for all he could. Do you agree with that assessment from those former champions? Now, these are former champions saying
Yeah,
Cejudo gave the belt
I,
up.
I would hate to agree with Henry Cejudo about anything, but
Sure.
absolutely played it up, man. And here's the thing that I'll say is he had my full sympathy until he decided to call the fight because of it. Now, I know full well that this guy, Aljamain Sterling, knew that if he was to continue, no matter how he felt, whether he was fucked up or not, he was going to lose. He was
Yeah.
going to lose on the cards. He was going to lose by this. He was going to lose by finish. It was going to happen, and he knew it. Now, what I think he was thinking about, what was taking him so long, was his pride telling him it's okay, just beat him in the rematch. Get the title now, beat him in the rematch. You know what I mean? And it's like, all right, well, once you start looking at it that way, you can get behind how he was like, yeah, I guess I can't go on, because he's not winning that fight if he stands up.
Not at all.
He
He was
is
getting
not winning
ass.
the fight, and that's where I love Aljo Sterling, man. I've been rooting for him to have a title fight for a very long time. I feel like he was snubbed for the longest time, but after that, that's bitch made shit right there, bro. That is
Ain't it? Yeah.
shit.
See, I saw a couple of things you were saying, and I was like, man, I think you're on my side because, I saw the energy, man. I felt that energy, and I was like, I get it. I do get it. I get why he would do that. I get the rules. I understand
If
it
you're that
perfectly.
fucked up, don't talk after the fucking fight, man. But he's talking to Rogan all normal and shit.
Exactly. And the next day,
Shots and
he
smiling.
took the belt off. He took the belt
Yeah.
off, like that. I was like, but then why hold it up at all? If you don't take the belt off then and be emotional about it, don't hold that belt up the next day smiling and shit. Like he played himself.
Yeah.
He played himself. That's unfortunate. He doesn't have any integrity anymore. Like
Yeah.
I hate to,
I've
I
lost
hate to
all love for him, man.
Right. And that's not something we thought going in. I thought he was fighting a good fight, the best he could do.
Yeah. He was doing fine for
Round
what he could
one,
do. Jan is on that level, man. Jan is on that level.
and he found that out because he got cracked a couple times. People say, "Oh, when he got cracked that one time, that was just kind of being." And I was like, "Nah, he went off balance. He got thrown off balance when he got his ass cracked, and he was slightly wobbly afterwards.
He
Like,
got wobbled a few times in that fight. Now
yeah,
he did a good job of trying to play it off and just move around and keep it going.
yeah,
But I could definitely see the wobbly wobs,
yeah.
dude.
But Jan's not going to pursue you to the point. Jan is crazy because his wrestling's solid, and he's not. His takedown defense is solid. Aljamain Sterling got first takedown, didn't land another one. Like,
And didn't even keep him down for like a significant amount of time. There was no control around. And that's I'm really excited in this day and age of MMA having had it progress as much as it has. I'm so glad that takedowns don't just win you rounds anymore, because the judges are starting to see if there's no control, a takedown's just more lucky momentum sometimes. Like,
yeah, because it's just. I know it's mixed martial arts, but sure, you're just gonna not. Sometimes you're gonna be in position or out of position to get a takedown. Like it's like, oh damn,
there is such thing as a cheap takedown. Like,
yeah, it's gonna happen. It should happen, but you're not gonna keep that guy down. And Jan looked great, man. He looked like, oh, I'm just gonna wait him out. I know he's got a lot of energy, but not as much as me. And then it starts to happen. He starts to walk him down. And Joe Rogan's like, or Cormier was like, man, don't let him walk you down here. That's what he's about to do. Do not let him walk you down here, because that is when this fight ends. Like he was fighting him the same way he fought Uriah Faber, and Joe Rogan brought that up. He was like, man, Uriah Faber does blah blah blah. He was like, he's doing the same thing he did to Uriah Faber, and that's exactly where that fight was going to go. We saw what the fuck happened to Uriah Faber at the end of that fight. And Aljamain Sterling was lining up perfectly for that. And he did a bitch move. He really did. And one thing I was gonna go to was there was a man who could have did it, and the only reason it would have been okay. Well, not the only reason, but like it would have been okay because John Jones has a lot of illegal strikes. If you just add them up, that guy has lost so many. He has so many DQs. It's ridiculous just on illegal strikes. But, Anthony Smith, he didn't for a second think that he was not going to continue that fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he got hit.
Make you respect Anthony Smith a whole hell of a lot more.
Yes. I mean, because he was a guy that was bitch made to me. I was like, nah, he's trash. But at the same time,
you look at it now, man, he could have just taken the title. You know what I mean?
and I see how much of a bitch move that would have been,
Hey, Anthony Smith, if you're listening, and I highly doubt you are, but if you are listening, man, props. That was the right thing you did, man.
It would have been, but
you took the loss like you should have.
Yep. It would have been way less of a bitch move because, for one, John Jones is known for that, and we saw how Anthony Smith was not he played up him being okay. That's the thing he played up. Yeah, he was more okay.
I think Smith was way more fucked up than fucking.
Yes. He actually shouldn't have continued that fight. If we're being real, he shouldn't have continued that fight because he looked fucked up.
I mean, he was even talking slowly in the interview after the fight. He was just like, "Whoa, yeah, I think so." But Sterling was just like, "Yeah, that's not how I wanted it to go." But it was just like, bro, you were way too fucking with this conversation for me to believe that strike was that damaging. Now, and here's the thing that I want to point out because
we've seen that strike before too, legal and illegal, but we've seen it.
Here's what I want to point out because there's a lot of people that I know that watch the fight that aren't like martial arts rooted, if that makes sense. Because everyone can watch fights and have their opinions on it, and that's completely, it's part of it. That's what we're doing. But when it comes down to it, they think like people have literally referred to him, and the post that you said you were monitoring that I was on. These people are referring to it as cheating. They're calling Jan a cheater, and that is so wrong because it's like, number one, that is not how you cheat in MMA. Now, is it illegal? Yes, but in this context, it is not cheating. Now, it's against the rules. So by that definition, it is. But in terms of the intent behind it, he was winning the entire fight. He was about to finish it. If you look back, Sterling had one knee off the ground, the other one was touching, and Jan was looming over him. Now here's the thing.
He was waiting on him to lift his leg up, and that was he anticipated it instead of just waiting.
People referenced the corner telling Jan, yes, hit him when he was with the knee on the ground, so they think it was all intentional. They're not realizing he was also pushing down on his head, which creates the momentum once he lets it go to have the momentum slingshot himself up. So once he was playing that, he pushed down, and then his corner said yes, or yes, just the one yes maybe. But they gave him the affirmative to throw the strike because they probably mistimed it too. But there's no reason
that's what it was.
He knows the rules. There's no way that he's going to do that just willy-nilly. Now,
it was miscommunication, and it was mistiming, and that was a miscommunication. That was mistiming in there, and it was like, throw the strike, but the timing was off.
Sit there and act like he did this malicious cheating thing, like he took steroids or something.
True. And that's why he's so mad at him. And people are like, why are people so mad over the guy, at the guy that took the illegal knee? And I'm like, well, you don't get it. It's a fight. How many nutcase do we see where people say my bad?
I was gonna point that out. I'm pretty sure I'd have to watch again, but I'm pretty sure Jan got eye poked and nut kicked in that fight too. So if we're keeping count, he could have at 2 times been like, can't compete. You know what I mean? Like, because those are illegal shots that if you hit somebody hard enough and they can't compete, they win the fight. But nobody's ever going to do that.
You can literally say, I can't go anymore. They can't. They don't have a choice but to believe.
Very few times has it ever happened with an eye poke because people usually try to just play through it. And nut kicks, it goes away in like 5 minutes, and that's why they give you as much time as you need,
Right.
And it's like, so the thing that pisses me off is like, the casual fan that's arguing with me on Facebook is sitting there like, oh, he was cheating. And it's like, if you think that was cheating to the true extent of what cheating means and the spirit of what cheating is, you don't know what you're watching. You know what I mean?
It could have been. Now here's what I understand, Mike. I do understand that, like, if they had if John did have that intent and they had continued, that would have been cheating if he maliciously threw it so that he could have the advantage and finish him off that way. That would be cheating.
Yeah,
That's
if
what
he was losing the
that's what
fight
they
up into
thinking he's
that
doing.
point, if he was losing the fight up into that point and had to do something dramatic like that to get the momentum swung in the other direction, I completely get it. But he was winning the entire fight, and then Sterling wants to tweet about the stats being close. Sure, man. There's a saying back from the olden days, from my grandpa's days. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics, bro. You've referenced those fight stats, and you can think that it was close, but anyone watching that fight knows that it was not going your way.
Like,
Like,
okay, so shout out to Steven on on Twitter. He does a great job at everything he does. I'm just giving him a shout out before I completely shit on something he does. he or something he did. He brought up Tua Tagovailoa, right? And he's a Dolphins fan, and he brought up Tua and his stats, and I was like, dude, his stats don't mean shit. Like, they gonna shop this dude around because he's unimpressive. Like, nobody cares. He's a game manager. Like, look, if I had him, I would love to have him as a backup. And if he showed me something to make him a starter, fine, right? But long story short, they will get, if they can get who's the big QB from Texas right now that everybody wants? Not Dak Prescott.
are you talking about Deshaun Watson?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've been terrible with names like for 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
But so they want Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson wants to go there. And that means Tua's either the backup or they trading him. And I'm like, dude, what happened to the stats, man? Like, the stats don't mean shit because they know they can take, like, if the stats meant that much, then you would be risking way too much in getting Deshaun Watson because your stats are already fine with the quarterback you have, meaning you can just keep your quarterback and work on everything else and win a Super Bowl. Or you could just, but nope, his stats aren't good enough. My point is, his stats ain't good enough for them not to consider getting Deshaun Watson. So stats are what they are. They're just numbers, man. If somebody else get a hold of them, they'll say, hey, you know what? It's not that close to me. How was that fight close to him? Because, like, it's just weird. When people use statistics, I'm like, don't do that. Don't do them to prove your point. Try to disprove your point with stats.
Well,
Maybe you get
with fight stats, it's different too. Like, if we're gonna compare the fight stats, they actually, like, their significant strikes were close, but significant strike criteria that they're,
yeah.
what they're looking at to call it a significant strike, that's the same for everybody. So
Also, who got rocked, though?
if you throw a punch that lands and I throw a punch that lands, and they call that a significant strike, it doesn't mean that yours did just as much damage. It just means
Exactly.
that landed. So that's the thing is, yeah, if you throw 25 punches, if you're Aljamain Sterling and they all land, that's great. But if Piotr Jan throws 24 punches and they all land and they fucking hurt you and they knock you to the ground and he's beating the crap out of you in your own,
and that's what happened.
Like, exactly. Like, then whose punches really meant more? So yeah, you can reference your stats, but had that fight finished the way it was going to finish and the stats stayed as close as they were, even if Sterling had the upper advantage, it would have been like, wow, man, you landed more punches and still got your ass beat. Like,
exactly. And people don't get that, man. Like, you can, because, okay, so significant strikes for Johnny Hendricks. Let's go back to GSP real quick. Significant strikes for Johnny Hendricks were up there. He was rocking. He was rocking GSP.
All in GSP's mud stomps, dude.
But GSP outstruck the fuck out of him, and he had significant strikes as well because he tagged him three straight jabs. Boom, hit him with something, and Johnny Hendricks would grab his nose, back up a little bit, and readjust. Every time he did that, he was scoring nothing but points with the refs. Like, and people don't get that though. It's like, oh, Johnny Hendricks beat him that first fight. I'm like, no, he didn't, because for every significant strike he had, he ate 3 regular punches and a significant strike. Now, did it hurt him as much as it hurt GSP? No, of course not. GSP wasn't rocking him, but he hit him just hard enough, significant strike, to where Johnny Hendricks would touch his nose, act like it did, play it off, act like it didn't hurt, and then readjust. Every time you did that, it's significant. I know it is, because you wouldn't be trying to play it off, and you wouldn't be readjusting for something that didn't hurt. You just wouldn't even shake it off. You just keep going forward. We've seen it. Like, I mean, hell, with the Blachowicz and Adam Sonya fight, they had strikes, but they was like, oh, okay, I don't want to get hit with the strike coming after that. So that made that one a significant strike. They backed up a couple times, you know. They didn't just press forward towards each other. No, they readjusted almost every other combination. They readjusted because they know like I said, they had a lot of respect. They were in each other's range quite a bit. They could have thrown some knockout strikes, but it would have been dumb as fuck to throw them. And they never did. They never really went for that home run, you know, because they would have been right out of their comfort zone with that, and they would have been in the range, and they would have been dead to rights if they had thrown some crazy ass haymaker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they never did that. Izzy threw a couple things, but a couple head kicks, but I wouldn't consider those haymakers because he just makes those look so easy. They're so easy to him that was just kind of a regular kick, even though it was a head kick, but it was blocked regularly too. But yeah, to go back to Aljamain Sterling and his stats, fuck him. Ha! Yup. That's all I got to say about it.
No. Bro, the thing is I didn't realize that this whole situation made me as mad as it did because the conversation we're talking about online that I was having, it was frustrating because I'm talking to a bunch of people that they were seeing something, but I just don't know what the hell they were looking at because they're talking about cheating, like he was just sitting there pointing, poking him in the eye and shoving his hand down his mouth and cheating, he was maliciously doing this. I don't know. It was what were you guys looking at that made you think he was maliciously trying to cheat? This dude was trying to win. He was trying to finish the fight. And do I think the knee was intentional? Absolutely, because he meant to throw it. He meant to throw it. He did not mean to do it when his knee was on the ground.
Right.
I think he was trying to time it.
He was trying to time it and mistimed it horribly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he threw it.
And
he mistimed the shit out of it.
You know what? That shit fucking happens. I'm sorry.
It happened. It actually happens a whole lot more than people think. A whole lot more. We've seen that over the man. Yeah, we've seen that's a common thing. People mistime that knee on the ground. Commonly mistimed. Yep. But generally that's something you don't want to go for because it's risky in a title fight. He should have never went for it. It was too risky.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is that's why I do support if Aljamain Sterling had to have the fight stop, I completely support that. But he shouldn't be given the title because of that. It should have just been suspended until the rematch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm fine with
shouldn't have kept the belt. They could have even said, all right, the next fight they have the rematch. Neither of these guys are coming in with the belt, but they are fighting for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's both of them are challengers at this point, but they are going to rematch for the belt since it ended on disqualification. That would make a lot more sense.
That Jan doesn't get better. He better hope that he's just furious.
What do you mean? He just spent 4.5 rounds in there with him. He's gonna destroy him the next fight. Aljamain.
I don't know. I tell you why. I'm just gonna be putting it out there. If Piotr Jan comes in there too mad, that he's not going to be focused enough. He just comes in there fuming. Now, he could just knock him the fuck out because of that too. But it's Aljamain Sterling. I do want to respect him as an athlete and say, look, man, you still need to focus against him no matter how much you beat him up the last time. So that could potentially be his downfall and his undoing.
I don't think it happen at all. I think he's going to realize, okay, I put it on him for 4 rounds and I could have done it for the rest of the fight. He could have just kept hitting him like he was, but he's like, all right, here's where I can get the knockout, here's where I can get the finishes here. They have the tape on him now, and you could say the same thing for Sterling.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'd make Sterling fight someone else. So here's the thing, there's going to be an interim fight probably. Jan's going to win an interim title, probably, and which is stupid.
It's not going to be an interim fight.
No, because Sterling can't fight for 6 months, dude.
What is that? Is that official?
No, because think about it. Ain't that
is that official, Sean?
No. I have not read. No, but think about this though. It's not like he's fighting next month. He had a fight stoppage because of an illegal knee. They're not going to allow him to compete. He's going to be on a medical suspension regardless, dude. And then he's going to have a camp.
It's going to be a 3-month suspension at best, and he's going to fight on the 4th month. They're going to expedite this fight for sure.
I think it's gonna be like 6 months, dude. I don't think they're fighting for a long time. And
That
here's
would
the thing.
that would be a crime.
Sure, but it's not. We're talking about the UFC, man. You're giving them way too much credit.
No.
Like they commit what I think are crimes all the time.
Yeah,
Like actual straight up shit. Yeah, like the way they pay their fighters. That's probably a crime, to be honest.
that's
Like,
pretty fucked, but whatever.
let's be for real. When we talk, I get it. Like, man, like when you're not even paying your fighters as much as pro wrestlers. Something's wrong with that.
Wrestling's a more established, lucrative business.
But do not look, man. I mean, if I'm getting 6 figures as a pro wrestler and I'm only getting like maybe two grand, a month as a fighter, something's wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, even boxing, which isn't even as mainstream as MMA now, boxers still on average make more than MMA fighters.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy too because like the way boxing is going now, people are being way less defensive, and they're getting their shit beat in. Like people are getting, they're being beaten up a lot more in boxing. I don't know if you've watched any of it lately.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember.
There are no more Floyd Mayweathers. People,
no, there's a bunch of little Floyd Mayweathers. Honestly, like what was that Ryan Garcia versus Lomachenko or whatever that fight was?
Well, I mean, as far as defensive fighters, they threw that shit out the window. They was like, well, you don't get paid like that no more. You got to make it.
Disagree, man. Tyson Fury's still kicking.
Nah, he's not Floyd Mayweather though. He was out there. Sure, he's defensive, but he's out there whooping dude's ass. Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, but Deontay Wilder also didn't hit him once at all. Like
he was terrible. He's a terrible boxer, and that's crazy. Somebody said he's not a good boxer, and it was like, no, he's Nagano. He's got that power, but he is shit at boxing. He's a boxer.
Well, I just hope that since that Fury loss, he's hired Freddie Roach or somebody like that to get his hands more boxing, because if you can teach him how to box, then that power is going to be scary.
Speaking of boxing, and we'll end on this. What the fuck's wrong with Frank Mir?
Yeah, that's just insane. Who's he fighting? Tarver? Is it Tarver?
Yeah, there you go, Antonio Tarver. I'm like, what are you doing? This man gave Roy Jones Jr. problems,
dude. I get stepping in there with some up and coming kid who you could probably make some name off of right now, but Antonio Tarver, you're gonna die. Like Frank Mir already didn't have great stand up in the UFC, so
no, he didn't. He really didn't. Really didn't. And I'll never forget the interview where he said right after post-fight interview, they said, man, you got the submission against Brock Lesnar. He was like, man, he was like, man, he hit me and something changed. He was like, if I didn't grab his leg there, I felt like he was going to kill me. Like, he wasn't joking, though. He felt like he might have actually died in the damn cage in that octagon, and Brock Lesnar.
We all thought he would too.
Hit him anymore. Right. Like, I mean, it was bad. It was bad. And but Brock made that mistake. He didn't realize how strong he was. My point being is, if Brock Lesnar scared the shit out of you, then imagine what he's going to go through when Tarver hits him the first time.
Oh, it's not even going to be funny, dude. If Frank Mir lands a meaningful punch in that fight at all, I'll be surprised. And not to say it's going to knock Tarver out or anything. It's not going to. But if he even touches him at all, I'm going to be surprised. There's no fucking way. Antonio Tarver used to be a pretty fucking good fighter.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, that's putting it mildly. I'm like, man, this is what we doing now. I mean, that's kind of like Conor McGregor going in there with Floyd Mayweather, which he did. Yeah.
The only difference being I had more faith in McGregor's boxing.
Sure, because he's an accurate striker.
Yeah. But Frank, if he was going to step on the mat for a jiu-jitsu match against Tarver, then it would be a lot more, okay, well, that makes sense. But then again, Tarver's not going to step on a jiu-jitsu match. You know what I mean?
I would actually like to see Conor McGregor box a lot more. It's a lot more money.
Don't. He doesn't need more money.
For everybody. It's not just for him. Shit,
I don't want to see him box. I get nothing from McGregor boxing.
Conor McGregor versus Logan Paul.
Nope.
Oh, come on.
Nope.
Come on.
Don't care.
Logan Paul versus Frank Mir.
I might watch that one on an undercard.
I was like, fuck it, let me drop the bar, just drop the damn
yeah,
thing
no,
on
I
the
don't
floor.
mind like old washed up fighters getting beaten up by Logan Paul, but
Or
what's
NBA
what's the
players.
younger one? Is Logan, is it Jake or Logan that's the younger one? Because the younger one it's actually pretty legit. Like
Jake. Yeah, Jake. I don't know why. Here's the thing. People are like, oh man, I can't wait till he's beaten up. Why? Like, I get he's annoying in real life. I get all that. But like the dude actually okay, sure. Let's forget about his YouTube and his Disney success. Let's forget about both of those and throw that shit out the window. Because they got their own money, man. Like, as adults, I'm going to just leave them the fuck alone. But let's just think about this. The dude has a real passion for boxing, and he trains. Yeah. He actually trains. He's a legitimate athlete.
Like, Logan Paul, I think, is going to lose his fight against whoever the fuck he's fighting.
Jake Paul, don't come at this nigga with some bullshit.
Jake Paul might actually win his fight, though. That's the thing. Like, I forgot who he's facing, but
yeah, he's not a pushover, man. I would be concerned about fighting him because you saw what he did to Nate Robinson. It was. I mean, I don't know if it wasn't like charity. I think it actually was, but like whatever. Don't do that. You're playing games, man. You play dumb games, get dumb prizes, right?
Yeah.
He won a free ass whooping.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, you know who Jake Paul's facing? Fucking Ben Askren. How the hell did we?
Yeah. He's gonna knock Ben Askren the fuck out.
And Ben Askren sitting there like posting videos of boxing, looking like Stephen A. Smith. Like, what the fuck? Like,
hey, Ben Askren's boxing is shit. It's shit, dog.
Dude, I'm sitting there like, wait, like, why would you put Ben Askren versus Jake Paul in a boxing match?
He didn't even get the box against Masvidal.
Sean, I've already seen Ben Askren die. I don't need to see it again. Like, I know what it looks like.
Cartoon. He had the cartoon. Remember when Tom died and his ghost popped up with the angel's wings and went up that escalator? That was Ben Askren.
Dude, like I said, man, I've already seen Ben Askren get annihilated on national TV. I don't need to see it again. Like,
that's bullshit. I need to see that again.
Okay, well, you know what? Honestly, against a YouTube sensation that Askren's going to talk a bunch of shit against, I'll watch. Like, like whatever. Like, I'll watch again, but like I don't.
I watch Askren versus Mir.
No, I'll watch that whole boxing card. And honestly, as long as boxing keeps making good cards like this with, people that want to, make the jump on some sort of a small stage and then, have like a Tyson Fury or, Lomachenko or, Canelo type of, main event, then like I'll watch those fucking cards all day. That's fun. That makes boxing fun.
I don't know if I'm watching another Canelo fight. I'm glad I was in a bar and they had paid for it. I was at the new Broadway on Main, or the new Old Bellas. That's what I call it. But it's called Broadway Heights or some dumb shit. Anyway, the Broadway bar. And I look over and there was I thought it was the Rosenstrike fight. That was all on one television. And on the other one, it was a Canelo fight. So I look over at the UFC and then so they go to commercial and I look back over at the Canelo fight. And it's over. Dude's sitting down. I'm like, damn, what happened? He must have knocked him out. No, the guy quit between rounds.
Yeah, because he got his shit pushed in by Canelo. Canelo's a fucking
damn. So no, fuck that. Get some contenders out there for Canelo. I don't want to see another fight.
That's the same thing though. Is like, at a certain point, there's just not contenders. Like he's already faced everyone. I think he's even gone up and down divisions to try to find contenders. Yeah. We knew it was going to making those like Terrence Crawford fights and shit. Like you're going to start having to make legitimate like, oh fuck fights. You know what I mean?
We knew when he fought Floyd that he was going to be he was the heir apparent to the throne. We knew that. And we knew he wasn't going to be able to beat Floyd because Floyd was just never going to put himself in a position like that. The best fight I've seen of Floyd Mayweather's in a very long time, was when he fought Conor McGregor. Because he let Conor McGregor just hit him with anything, which was super disrespectful to him. And nobody picked up on that. I was like, man, Floyd Mayweather ain't let nobody hit him with no clean fucking uppercut in like 45 of his 50 fights. What the hell are you talking about?
McGregor was also throwing like Thai style and kickboxing style punches, from the angles and stuff without throwing the kicks behind him, which had to have been a little like off-putting for Mayweather in the beginning. You know what I mean? Obviously,
Sure.
he's going to figure it out, but like
He didn't
the
give a
fact that
fuck.
there was no kicks
He
on the
stood
other side of those really, really shows the difference in, like an actual fight versus boxing.
Yeah, I mean, but like my point is like he took everything. He hit him with an uppercut, and I thought Floyd was. I was like, man, and then as he's hitting him with it, Floyd just takes it and didn't he continued to go forward. I was like, ooh, this is gonna be a long night.
Yeah,
Like I mean, I didn't expect the uppercut to like lay him out at all, but man, he fucking landed it flush. If I hit you with that uppercut, or if anybody lands an uppercut on anybody else, they're gone. I don't give a fuck who it is. But apparently not Conor on Floyd. And then people say, oh, well, Conor, he does have power. What are you talking about? I was like, ask Floyd Mayweather how much. I think you and I discussed this. And I said, ask Floyd Mayweather how much power Conor McGregor has. So he can laugh in your face. But I digress. I think there are going to be some interesting boxing cards coming up. I think that what they want is they want someone to make that leap and be a star. It damn sure won't be Frank Mir. Maybe it's Jake Paul. Maybe it's Jake Paul. I don't know. I don't know. But they're looking for that new. They're looking for that new shiny toy, man. They're looking for somebody to really put boxing back to where it was. And I think they're just a couple of stars away. I'm not gonna lie. Boxing has really did good during COVID era. A lot more people have been paying attention to it because they've been, it's boxing. Nobody's really expecting to watch it. But if it's on, like that Lomachenko fight really, really stepped up things for boxing. So I got an eye out. I mean, it's not like I was never watching boxing at all, but I got my eye out, So I'm gonna watch Frank Mir get killed by Antonio Tarver.
Yeah, I'll probably watch that card if I can too.
I'm definitely gonna watch him get murdered. I mean, at least we'll get to see that. Maybe there'll be some sort of super fight.
We'll get to see Ben Askren get destroyed again.
maybe Frank Mir is that guy, and Conor McGregor fight him. I don't know. Who fucking knows? I don't even know. I don't know what weight these people are. I don't really care. I just want to see two men beating the hell out of each other, just like we get to see in MMA. UFC 260. That is the Stipe and Ngannou card.
Yeah.
Early prediction on that. Just that one. Just that fight.
Yeah, I gotta take Stipe. You know what I mean? Like he's the better skilled fighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm gonna take Ngannou. I just think he's gonna get a lucky one off. I mean, he's hit Stipe before, and I mean, it knocked him out obviously, but I think Stipe losing to Cormier was a bad thing. I think that Ngannou is probably going to try to hit him with something like that and connect, and it's over. Plus, he's been working hard, man. He has. I mean, I know he's not a good fighter at all, but he still has been working hard. And I don't know. I think he's has improved since. He's definitely improved since then, but I think this time he might do it. If not, fuck it.
The rest of that main event shaping up to be a pretty good one too. I mean, you got Volkanovski, Ortega, Woodley versus Luque, O'Malley versus Alameda. Like the rest of that card's gonna be a pretty good card.
Oh, Brian Ortega rips that motherfucker's head off.
He's not going to, but
I know. I hate Volkanovski. I really do. God, as much he's Henry Cejudo. I don't mind Henry Cejudo, but like everybody finds Henry Cejudo.
Henry Cejudo has a big ass mouth.
That's what I'm saying. But Volkanovski's Cejudo when it comes to how good he thinks he is. The only thing is Henry Cejudo's actually that good. Volkanovski, no. I don't know. I mean, you can laugh, but like Cejudo was giving up belts. He was a champ, gave up belts. Volkanovski arguably lost his last two fights for the belt. So
yeah, I guess.
Arguably, though. I mean, I get it. Because you could argue that Dillashaw was an early stoppage and Cruz was an early stoppage. I'm not going to argue that, but you get what I'm saying. You can make an argument for anything. Like peanut butter and chocolate and which one tastes better. Just combine them and make a reset up. I'm just saying, man. Like we can sit here and argue all day, but we not. That's the
No,
end of the show, guys.
yeah,
Take us home.
take us home. Oh, okay, that's my job.
Shut
Yeah,
up.
this is Sporticus, and you have been sports entertained.
Hey guys, Sporticus is all over social media. You can find us on Rockfin. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Anchor, Twitter, and Patreon, all under Sporticus or Sporticus Live. Come holla at us.